in the books. It's hot in here. Turn some AC on. I'm gonna stop for gas today. I'll stop tomorrow for that. Maybe I'll drive my other truck tomorrow instead. What's happening, y'all? Yep, another fabulous mundane Monday. I did get quite a bit done today, though, which really helps. Hopefully I won't have as much to do tomorrow, or at least not until late afternoon anyway. That'll give me an excuse to stay until 4:30. I really don't like staying until 4:30 unless I got something to do the whole time I'm there. But, you know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So if I don't have anything to do, I usually leave at like 3:30. I get 9 hours in anyway. It's kind of overcast. It's warm today. Wow. And here we are in what, the second week of October, and it's 85 degrees outside. You believe that? Usually this time of year in the Midwest, it's already cooled off quite a bit. Not this year. It's been a strange season. Yeah, I'm a bit late too, Ashley. I didn't actually get on until like, I don't know, 3 minutes after 4:30, something like that. I don't even know what time it is now. Okay, yeah, I've only been online for about 2 minutes or so. What's happening with you? That was my AC. I got to turn the AC on. Warm in my car. It was 85 degrees here today. That's pretty warm. Stayed pretty busy today. I think I got 14 trucks inspected. Eating supper? What you eating? Something good, I hope. Something healthy? Or are you having dinner in a box? Hey, you remember dinner in a box, don't you, Ashley? Dinner in a box was fun because, like, Mom would open the box and put it in the oven. We'd never know what we were getting until it was done. Something like that. Yeah, there we go. What's happening, other viewers? Mashed taters, barbecue, and beans. That sounds like a good dinner. I'm not a big fan of barbecue. I mean, I'll eat it, but I ain't a big fan of it, you know. I like pulled pork and pulled beef, but I'm not real fond of barbecue sauce. I don't know, at least not the barbecue sauce here. Yeah, I bet you do. The barbecue sauce here in this area is like, it's like really sweet. You know what I mean? It's not like the good old Carolina barbecue that, you know, is vinegar based or whatever. So you get that little bit of a bite or a nip with your barbecue. Here, the barbecue sauce, most of the time it's real sweet. Every once in a while you get like a little fire, a little heat, you know what I mean, to go with the sweet. Or it tastes, you know, kind of like a mesquite. I like the mesquite taste, but I'm not a real big fan of the sweet, hot sweet, whatever it is, you know. I guess nobody likes what I got to say today. I just had 2 people drop off. Yay. Yay me. But yeah, anyway. So as you can probably tell, I'm on my way home. I didn't know if I was going to do a video today or not. I contemplated just waiting until I got home because I know there's a few spots along the way where my signal kind of messes up a little bit. I guess it's because there's a lot of other people around me on their cell phones or whatever, because, you know, nobody can drive anymore without picking up their phone and making a phone call. Of course, I don't. You know, I do videos, you know what I mean, but I don't I don't let the video distract me from, I might look over every once in a while just to see if anybody's talking, but I don't let the videos distract me too much, you know what I mean? And I try to be real careful with it. There are people that will, text going down the road, and they'll talk on the phone going down the road, stuff like that. I try to refrain from doing that. I don't like my phone being in my hand. I don't feel like I'm in control of my car when that happens. If I've got something in one hand and I have to stop immediately, I've only got one hand on the steering wheel. It's not something I choose to do. So I try to keep both hands free so that I have complete control over the car. Anyway, nice looking truck, Chevrolet. Speaking of Chevrolet, I got to take my car in next week. I noticed that my passenger side doors, front and rear door, I had those rain shields, that go over the top of the windows. Wow, but I noticed that like when the car would sit for a long time with that side of the car in the sun, that when I would open the door, it would pull my rain guard off on the back door. And I couldn't figure out what did it. But the last time I had them on there is when I went to Branson, and I was coming home, and Dee said it sounded like there was something flapping back there. So I get out of the car and check, and sure enough, it had pulled the two-way tape off of my rain guard. And I thought, well, that's odd. So it wasn't until a couple of days later I was able to take time to look at it. And at the top of the door, there's no gap where there should be one. I mean, when it cools down, there's a little bit of one, but when things heat up, they expand, right? So the top seal on the door, when the car heats up, or at least the sun heats it up, it's closing in on the other piece that's on the back door. So I thought, that's odd. So I got to looking at the other side, the driver's side, because the driver's side is right. And at the top, there's like I don't know, it's probably a quarter of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch between the two rubber pieces, right? And then at the front, behind the mirror, where that rubber piece sits down on the mirror frame, it's flush. It's touching like this. Well, on the passenger side, which is over here, there's a gap that I can stick my pinky finger in underneath, where it should be resting directly on that mirror. I don't know if it's a mirror mount or what it is, but it's a piece of plastic over there, and it's not sitting right, which means that it's pushed back that way towards the back door. So I had it Friday. I had to go by the O'Fallon Buick Pontiac GMC place and had them look at it. The guy told me that he thought maybe the door was out of line. I don't think it is. It's pretty obvious to me what it is. But I'll give him an E for effort. And so I figured since my warranty was at Johnny Londahl Chevrolet, that's where I would take it, to have it looked at. Because I have a warranty, not only a factory warranty, which is still in effect, but I bought an extended lifetime warranty with them. So I can have it fixed. It won't cost me anything. They'll give me a rental car and all that good stuff. So I got to do that not tomorrow, Tuesday, but a week from tomorrow. The thing is, I don't know if I want to take my car up there and drop it off the night before, or if I want to take a couple hours off of work, drive from work to the dealership and then get a rental car and then back to work. It's only a 30-minute drive, but I figure at least an hour and a half, 2 hours I'd be gone from work. And I'm trying to get all the hours I can right now. with inflation being the way it has been, and the economy the way the economy is, and everything is so freaking high now. I really just don't want to miss any work. I need to be there every hour I can. So that's what I do. And last week I had a couple of doctor's appointments and stuff, so I missed about, I guess I missed about 3 or 4 hours on my overtime last week, which is going to hurt, but, what do you do? Man's got to go to the doctor, right? Get himself checked out. Not the way it works. Of course, it's, it's all, it's all paid for. I have insurance to pay for that stuff, and if it's something that my employer requires, my insurance will cover it. So every year they ask us to get a physical and have blood work and everything done. I got my results from my blood work, and they tell me that I'm healthy. I'm probably one of the healthiest people in that office. And I kind of made a joke to the woman, well, if everybody is as healthy as me, you guys would be out of business. She just chuckled. She just thought that was the funniest thing. But it's true, you take good care of your body, and you don't have to continue making, appointments with the doctor. Dope it off. Drop it off the day before. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I might drop it off the day before, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, better be safe than sorry. Yeah, I know. But, she did set up an appointment. I got a couple of more doctor's appointments that I have to do. Thank God for freaking insurance, but I got to go have a chest scan done. I used to be a smoker. I smoked for like 30 years or something like that. And she wants me to go have a chest scan, even though I haven't smoked a cigarette. Geez, how long has it been? 14 years, 13 years, something like that, since I've had a cigarette. At one time I was a pretty heavy pot smoker too. I haven't smoked any pot since 2011, like February 2011, I think, or something like that. 2010, I'm sorry. Because I left Charlotte to come here in April of 2010. I quit smoking before I left. So yeah, February of 2010 was the last time I smoked any weed. So anyway, she wants to check me for that, have a chest x-ray done or a CAT scan or whatever. And then she wants me to also have an abdominal ultrasound, just to make sure I don't have any like cancers on any of my organs, I guess. Smoking, they say smoking causes cancer. She wants to check my tummy, I guess, from like my diaphragm down to my waist, to make sure that like I don't have any hernias or cancerous or knots or anything like that. She said I do have a hernia behind my belly button, though. My belly button used to be a really nice innie, and now it's kind of a halfway innie, halfway outie. Well, that's probably more you guys want to know. But I also have to go for some kind of bone density scan. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I don't know if they put you on an x-ray for that, or if they do an ultrasound on your bones somehow, or if they shoot dye into you. I really don't know. And to be completely honest, I'd rather not have any, shots where any kind of liquid is going into my body at all. I've managed to avoid that for so long. Well, except for when I was in the hospital at 21, they put me on a drip, for fluids, to make sure I got hydrated. At the end of 21, I had pneumonia, and they were having me on oxygen, and were keeping me hydrated and all that through a drip bag. Let me know what they say, so I know what to look for. Family medical history. Yeah, well, I know mom had your grandma had cancer, lung cancer, but she was smoking and smoking dope and smoking cigarettes. But mom was like a 2-pack a day smoker, kind of like your great grandma Lois. But then you remember she had that Parkinson's disease at the very end, and I really honestly feel like my mom was misdiagnosed for a lot of years. The doctor that she was seeing told her she had something called cerebellum ataxia, which is where your brain builds up fluid and retains fluid, and it puts pressure on the frontal lobe of your brain. So you get like hallucinations, you get short memory loss, you get speech impediments, balance issues and stuff like that. But it wasn't until mom got pneumonia, ended up going to the hospital, where they found out she had Parkinson's disease. Now, I don't know much about my father's history because I really never talked to him about it. I grew up without my father, so my biological father anyway. I grew up without him, and then up for the past, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 years, I've tried to kind of build some kind of relationship, and that part of my family is not interested, which is okay with me. I grew up without him. I lived without him all my life. Why do I need to start now? But I just thought it would be kind of cool, to get to know my dad, my biological dad. But I think I'll get out from underneath this bridge. I don't know how my signal is. Yes, Grandma was a hippie through and through. But anyway, one of the last things my ex-wife told me one time is good luck with ever having a relationship with Arthur Hammond. So I'm guessing that she did with them what she did with a lot of other people. She alienated me from them by telling them that I was abusive to her and I mistreated her, blah blah blah. So plus my younger sister Franny, half-sister Franny, the youngest one, she was involved, she was part of a murder-suicide along with one of my cousins who was a guy, his girlfriend, and then my sister Annie, her new boyfriend, her old boyfriend walked in with a shotgun and blew them all away, and then he killed himself in the backyard. So, being that happened to her, and then them thinking that I'm some kind of a freaking monster, kind of drove them away from me. Even though I was never abusive. There was some yelling and screaming going on, but I was usually screaming and yelling in my own defense. But that doesn't matter now. But just to get kind of the story behind why I haven't never really found out about the Hammond part of my family is for that reason. I didn't say that to be mean. I didn't say that to be condescending. I didn't do it to give my ex-wife a bad name. We are on at least talking terms now. It took us a long time to get there, but she's not one person I would want to sit down on the phone with and have a long drawn out conversation. But a hello in passing, that's fine with me. Matter of fact, I was in town in March this year, and I did sit down for a minute. Well, she caught me alone in a bedroom by myself and decided to come in and sit down and start talking. So, being the nice guy that I am, I went ahead and decided to listen to what she had to say. But that's as far as it went. I don't begrudge her or anything. But I don't want to talk about that anymore either. Yeah, so Mom's going through a lot. Yeah, I see that. You know, Mom wouldn't have to have gone through so much if she'd have just been a good wife. And never mind. I'm not going to get into that. That's not what I'm here for. Anyway, she knows how I feel. I've told her about that, you know. Anyway, so so I don't really know a lot about the family history, you know, as far as that side of the family goes. Now I know that my grandmother, which actually would be your great-grandmother, Lois Robeson, she had lung cancer, and she had some other issues as well with female parts. I'm not going to say which female parts, but I'm sure you probably know, or can take a wild guess anyway. And she was on all kinds of medications, but I think that, you know, believe it or not, I think my grandmother was what they call a pharmaceutical junkie. So, you know, the doctors that she was seeing, because she was married to a veteran. My grandfather was in the Merchant Marine, so she was married to a veteran, and she was able to get, you know, veteran benefits. Like that. I may have just lost my signal just for a minute. I usually do when I come around this curve. I don't know why, but so she was able to get medical benefits through the VA. She also worked for the government. She worked in she was like in accounting or some bookkeeper or something for I guess it was the Navy. So she worked in Washington, D.C., but she lived in Mount Rainier, Maryland. And she had all kinds of, you know, narcotics that, you know, she had to take, you know, for pain this and for nervous that, and blah, blah, blah. And she was, you know, unfortunately, she got hooked on a lot of that stuff. But she continued smoking for, you know, years. I don't know if she ever really had any cancer treatments per se. But I know that, you know, she did die from cancer, lung cancer. My grandmother was a pretty sweet woman from what I can remember. I don't really know a whole lot about her. I know that both of her sons are jerks, Matthew and Daniel Robeson. Buddy, we called him Buddy. You know, I always thought Buddy was like the coolest guy in the world, but, you know, later in life when he found out my political affiliation, and, you know, he's a member of, he's actually part of the Teamsters Union, and I hate unions with a passion. I had a bad experience with the Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Yeah, I hate Matthew too. You know, hate's kind of a strong word, but if I was going to use that word about anybody, it would be Matthew for sure. Of course, I've got my own reasons, which is for another day. I'm not going to get into that today either, but yeah, he mooched off of my mom for years. You know, of course, my mom because Matthew was never really, you know, right. He always was kind of slow, and that stems mostly from like all the problems he had, I guess, as a baby. And, you know, he was a little bit slow. I would say borderline retarded, but I don't know if he was retarded, or maybe if he just had ADD real bad, or if he was had Asperger's. What is that? What is that word I'm looking for? I can't remember the damn name of it. Autistic. I think he was rather autistic as well. But and he grew up to be a big dumb goof. You know, he was 300 pounds of walking pile of shit. Well, I'm just going on and on, ain't I? But, you know, it seems like all the people in my family got, you know, really big at the end, towards the end of their lives. But I think, you know, I think honestly, he was like hardcore liberal, really. So I'm thinking possibly that the COVID virus shot, the vaccine's what killed him. He, you know, as big as he was, and as out of shape and shit as he was, he really should not have taken that vaccine. But he was bragging about how he did and everything. So I have a feeling that that's what killed him, because it killed a lot of people that were overweight, and had comorbidities. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that here on YouTube or not, and I really don't give a shit because it's my channel. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. Guys, hold on a second. I'm going to give they're not my sponsors, but I'm going to give Old Mountain Dew a shout out for their Kickstart drink. This is the black cherry. It's my favorite one. The colder it is, the better it is. Unfortunately, this one's a little warm because I've had it out of the fridge now for about an hour, and I've just been sipping on it. But Matthew died a while back, and I got a hold of his daughters, well, a couple of them anyway. I had a conversation with him. He had something that he had a family heirloom that I shouldn't have gotten, but he was selfish and he decided to keep it. So I wanted to make sure his daughters were able to, get it and keep it safe until I could come and get it. But it was a family heirloom that had been in my family for many years. Yeah, Matthew died, Ashley, about 3 or 4 years ago now. Had a heart attack, believe it or not. So I've got a feeling that I have a feeling, since that mitochondria or whatever it is, that mitochondria or whatever, bradycardia or whatever it was that was, killing all those people that, had taken the vaccine. He had a heart attack, so I'm guessing that, it killed him too, which to me, it was really no big loss. I mean, I hate it for the guy that, he died so young. He was only like 59 or maybe just getting ready to turn 60. I don't remember. I don't really care. But yeah, he's gone. He's been gone a few years now. And but I haven't really kept in contact with his daughters. His daughters were really strange, all three of them. And his wife, she was a nice lady. I liked her pretty good. Her name was Rhonda. I liked Rhonda pretty good, but she was. I think she was more woman than he could handle. He liked the dumb little girls. He lost his job at Walmart for being a freaking pervert. When he worked at, I think he was working at the one in Monroe, the Walmart in Monroe, North Carolina. And he lost his job at Walmart for being a pervert. So he applied at McDonald's. He never really got any jobs with, like physical labor or anything that required him to use his brain, because he was fat, ugly, and lazy, I guess he was happy flipping burgers or whatever. I mean, but he was living with my mom. My mom was supporting him, So how much, could a guy really expect to make, if he's got somebody help him pay his bills, which he didn't help my mom pay her bills, that's for damn sure. She ended up losing that house. Well, let me take that back. She didn't know. She died before losing the house, but he lost the house that I grew up in. After she passed away, he quit making the mortgage payments. And so it went back to the bank. The bank sold it. I think that house is worth like, Mom paid $49,000 for that house brand new, like in 1983 or 84. And they built a big neighborhood behind my mom's house that was like, $400,000 and $500,000 homes. And at one point they wanted to buy my mom's house and make that the entrance to the neighborhood. And I told them, Mom, if they offered you $250,000, you ought to take it, and get you a house, somewhere else here in Mint Hill, or at least closer to where she was working. She worked in Concord. But she wouldn't listen to me, because it was her house. And so she did, her husband, lost his life because of that house. And, you know, she was stubborn. She was set in her ways. So she didn't want to get rid of the house. But he ended up losing the house, which has really pissed me off because I could have gotten the house, but, you know, by that time I'd already, you know, made plans to live here, you know, and I'd already bought a house here and, you know, started a job and you know, was going to college at 40 years old. Well, I was 40. Let's see, that was 15 years ago. So I was 41 years old when I came here, you know, and I'd already settled in and, you know, met somebody and, you know, was enjoying time with my brothers and my stepbrothers. I'm sorry. Well, I guess they are my brothers. Uh, anyway, there's a long story behind that. I'm not going to get into that today. You have to explain that one to me again. For don't remember how long Maurice or you have ever spelled his. I didn't like Maurice either. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you. Maurice was an asshole. Maurice Mulholland was scum of the earth. I didn't like him. I never liked him. I only tolerated him because he married my mom. His son's a piece of shit too. Michael Orchard is a piece of shit too. So that just goes to show you that Mulholland family, they're a bunch of fucking scumbags. But I'm not going to get into that either. I'd rather spend my time doing constructive things and talking about other stuff. But it is 30 minutes in anyway. I know I got 3 people watching me. I've got 1 person conversating. If you guys like my video, I would sure appreciate it. Just tap the screen twice or look. I think it's either up here or right down here below the comments. You can subscribe to my channel if you haven't. If you don't want to, it's no big deal. I don't get paid to do this. I just do this, you know, to pass the time when I'm driving sometimes. I'm here usually around the same time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and every once in a while I'll drop a short or a video on a Saturday or a Sunday, but those are few and far between. I always mean to, but if for some reason I never get around to it. But I see I got 5 people watching now. Everybody always wants to come in when I'm getting ready to sign off. That's unfortunate, you know. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take off, people. Oh, I got 1 person watching me now. Grandma cried when I told her you didn't remember him. Remember who? Oh, Maurice. He wasn't anybody to try and remember Ashley. He was a piece of shit. But anyway, all right, you guys take it easy. Ashley, I love you, baby. I'll talk to you later. You have a good evening, good day tomorrow. For the new viewer that just came in, I'm signing off. I'm sorry that you caught me at the very ass end of my my video, but go back and check out the rest of it. Go back and do the replay. You'll enjoy it. Anyway, y'all have a good day. I love you, Ashley. I'll talk to you later. Have a good night and peace.